Your data is like gold to hackers, and they'll sell it to the highest bidder. Are you protected? McAfee helps shield you, blocking suspicious texts, malicious emails, and fraudulent websites. McAfee Secure VPN lets you browse safely, and its AI-powered text scam detector spots threats instantly. You'll also get up to $2 million of award-winning antivirus and identity theft protection, all for just $39.99 for your first year. Visit McAfee.com. Cancel anytime. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit Shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Hello and welcome to 1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast. It's Friday the 28th of March and it's time for Friday 5. We're taking a look at the top 5 stories that have been making the news at the City Ground over the last week. I'm your host, Steven Toplis, and I'm joined by Baz. Hello, Baz.
Hiya.
And now let's go over to Jamie Martin on the 1865 news desk.
Hi, this is Jamie Martin with this week's top 5 Forest stories from the 1865 news desk. Now the headline, club have shed positive light following Chris Wood's injury. Forest fans were woke to the news of an injury to their frontman after a fall during New Zealand's World Cup 2026 sealing win over New Caledonia this week. Going for a shot, Wood landed awkwardly on his hip, leaving him walking gingerly with a limp, ultimately having to be replaced early into the second half. The Athletic now report that despite concerns, Forest are convinced his injury is not likely to keep him off the pitch for an extended period, and he is expected to train again very soon. The second piece of news this week, Nottingham Forest are close to securing new contracts for 2 of their star fullbacks. In some huge news this week, Forest are close to securing the signatures of both Ola Aina and Nico Williams on new deals. Aina, who is out of contract in June this year, and Williams of June next year, are both landing new contracts which will see them improve in contract length and pay packet as Forest look to tie down their stars and fend off interest from other clubs. Reports this week suggest both deals are at the closing stages, with both players facing heavy interest from clubs domestically and abroad. Third piece of news this week, Forest B team have announced their semi-final cup date. After a successful quarter-final win, Forest B team will now face Athletic Bilbao at the City Ground, with a date now confirmed. The Reds beat Nords Island earlier this month 2-1, securing their next round move. The date of the match has been confirmed as April 15th, 2025 at 7pm British Summer Time. A huge game. Wishing the B team all the best with this Premier League International Cup matchup. Fourth piece of news this week, Elanga has scored on international duty. Well, it was a high-scoring week for the Swedes as they beat Northern Ireland 5-1 in an international friendly. The Scandinavian put the Irish side to the sword with 4 goals separating them. Current Forest loanee Dale Taylor was on the Irish bench alongside former Academy star Aaron Donnelly. However, only one Forest man stood out, and that was Anthony Elanga. A wonderful goal from him sealed a good international cap and finished the game off with a win. Now the fifth piece of news, Forest to play Crystal Palace on new date and time. Alongside the youth team, a date has been announced for the senior team as their fixture against Crystal Palace has been moved. The new time for the Reds' trip to Sellers Park has now been confirmed as Monday, 5th of May at 8pm British Summer Time. Fans on X and across social media have been divided, with some criticising the timing with a late kick-off for a weekday evening. Now, that is the latest from the 1865 news desk. I'm Jamie Martin. Be sure to catch up with me on Twitter, or as it's now known, X, via @I'mJamieMartin. Updates on Nottingham Forest related news throughout the week. Take care, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Jamie. And before we look into that news in more detail, let's reflect a little bit more on a brilliant few days for Nottingham Forest women. They beat Stoke City last Saturday to win the FA Women's National League Cup for the second time in 3 seasons. You can hear all about that triumph in our match report, which was released on Wednesday. Do go back and have a listen if you haven't already. But we're going to hear now from supporter Matt Turpin and his son Leif as they share their thoughts on events at the Poundland Bescot Stadium.
I am Matt Turpin, and I was at the Forest match on Saturday over in Walsall at the Bescot Stadium with my son Leif. Hi, Leif.
Hi.
What did you reckon to the match?
Good match.
Yeah?
Won the cup.
We won the cup, we certainly did. Second time you've actually seen them win the cup in 3 years. So I think that was a more convincing victory, though, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. What do you like about it? Who's your favourite player?
Emily Batty.
Emily Batty. I've pulled off some. She had a fairly quiet, but she was some saves, wasn't she? But she was good.
She got like some random station, like when you're not expecting it.
Yeah. And
they would just shoot from right and shoot from left.
What was your favourite moment?
Possibly when I got the high fives.
Oh yeah. Well, after the match, all the players...
10 players.
Well, 10 of the players. Anyway, I think more of them would have done it if we'd stayed longer. But after the match, the players come and have a selfie with the kids, sign you had an autograph book, didn't you? A Walsall autograph book.
A pen.
And a Walsall pen, which was quickly brought for the occasion. And, yeah, they signed it all, so you got most of the players, didn't you, there? And they let you wear a winner's medal as well, didn't they? Two winner's medals.
Two people did.
Two players did, so that was pretty good. What do you reckon to the stadium?
Decent stadium.
Yeah, it's decent. Big stadium, big for the occasion, lots of Forest fans there. Good atmosphere as well, though. We were right behind the goal on our own, weren't we, for a lot of it. And then he got hit by the ball, so that was fun.
Not that it hit them. You know never getting hit by the ball.
Well, I thought I was, because I'm a drama queen. And what else did we do? It took a long time to get there, didn't we? But what season? We beat Derby 2-0. We're unbeaten in the league.
Yeah.
We're top 5 clear points. I can't really see us not getting promoted. With Forest, you hate to make predictions. Do you reckon we'll be promoted? On the strength of that performance, I think, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And you're going to stay a Forest fan forever? Oh, good stuff. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. It sounds like you and Leif had a brilliant day. Back to Friday 5 now, and let's get into those stories that Jamie brought us in the company of Baz, starting with an injury update on Chris Wood. Now, he was injured while playing for New Zealand during the international break. He landed on his hip, taking a shot in the game against New Caledonia, and he was substituted. I think we were all fearing the worst, particularly when he also then had to get back to the UK via a long-haul flight. But Forest are confident that the injury won't keep the striker out for long. However, Baz, we know he will not be playing in this weekend's FA Cup quarter-final at Brighton. I don't know about you, but I wasn't sure that Wood would have played anyway, even if he was fit, just given the length of time travelling back from New Zealand and also the fact that Nuno does rotate a bit in the Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I had the feeling that Wood would have started on the bench anyway. That seems to be the playbook for these FA Cup games, and then keep him in reserve for if we need the big guns to come on, if it goes to extra time and maybe penalties, which is what seems to have happened recently. But yeah, I'd have expected Taiwo to start. He needs some minutes. He's still a little bit rusty, but it just means we haven't got Wood on the bench to take the penalties if we need him. So that lineup will have changed. But I trust Taiwo to do all right. He's just a bit rusty, as I say, because he's not had the chance to get the minutes in. So it'll be good for him to get the minutes, and hopefully we won't have to take it to extra time.
Fingers crossed, yeah. And I think Taiwo has looked sharper in recent weeks. The more football he's getting, he does seem to be a bit more back to his old self. So, yeah, perhaps him getting a full run out at Brighton on the weekend isn't going to be a bad thing for him.
Definitely. And, I mean, yeah, I thought against Arsenal he terrified their defenders. I'd have liked to have seen more of him.
We'll pick up a bit more on the Brighton game later on, but let's go on to our next story. And this involves new contracts for Ola Aina and Nico Williams. So Forest are close to agreeing improved deals for both their fullbacks as the club look to keep hold of the key players which have got them into this great position that they're in the Premier League this season and the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Aina is out of contract in June, Williams in June 2026. And reports suggest, Baz, that Forest are very close to wrapping up these new contracts for the pair. It's well-deserved, I think, and also encouraging that the club are trying to keep hold of their most important players.
Definitely, I think it goes without saying we need to try and keep hold of them. They've been outstanding in the last couple of months. Even though, Aina looked a little bit tired, perhaps it's been quite a few games for him. But both of them have done really, really well. They've improved on all the bits of their game where we thought they were weak, and they've got no real reason to move to another club because it looks like we're pretty likely to get a European spot. And why would they want to move to a club with a big squad where they're not going to get as many games?
It's a good point. Domestic clubs and clubs overseas are looking at the pair, but I suppose it comes back to making sure that Forest finish as high in the table as possible. Hopefully Champions League football will be on the cards, and then they're in the prime position to keep hold of all of their key players, because there's no higher level in the club game, at least, than the Champions League.
And the other thing is, especially Aina, is you watch the like behind the scenes videos and the socials and stuff like that, and he seems to be loving it. He's got a little group of mates and they have a great time together. So, I mean, I know it's work and there's probably a lot of money involved, but also you got to enjoy yourself. So he seems like he's having a great time at the moment. So why would he want to throw that away as well?
And just on that point as well, it does seem like a really close-knit dressing room. And when you've got that, it's a very special thing and something that you need to try and maintain for as long as possible, because that has definitely been a key factor in Forest's success this season. The behind-the-scenes videos, when you see players celebrating after a game, or the videos in the week and the camaraderie you were talking about there, you know, it's great to see, because in the past we've seen plenty of fractured Forest dressing rooms. That's also translated to not very good performances on the pitch.
You may get a little excited when you shop at Burlington. Burlington saves you up to 60% off other retailers' prices every day. Will it be the low prices or the great brands? You'll love the deals. You'll love Burlington. I told you so.
You're listening to 1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast.
So our next story involves the Forest B team. They are going to play Athletic Bilbao in the semi-finals of the Premier League International Cup. The match takes place on Tuesday, the 15th of April at 7 p.m. That time and date has now been confirmed, and Forest got into this position thanks to beating FC Nordsjælland in the quarterfinals, with Eric da Silva Moreira scoring a brace. It's good to see Warren Joyce's team progressing in these kind of competitions, Baz, because it's all good experience for our young players. And while we are having a very successful season now with the squad that we've got, it's important, as we've said before, that there is a pathway for your younger players to come through to challenge the first team and hopefully break in and make a place their own in the senior squad. And competitions like this and getting to semi-finals won't do them any harm.
I have to admit, until we started discussing it on the Friday Five a couple of months back, I'd never even heard of the competition. But it's one of those things. It's success breeds success. We just heard the women's team doing well. We've got the B team doing well. We've got the first team doing well. It's like if everyone at the club is doing well, then it like just adds that little bit of extra pressure or motivation to anyone else who's maybe on the sidelines a bit. Is like, actually, I need to step up my game here. And that whole culture of doing well and being successful, it runs all the way through everyone then.
Next up, we're going to look at how Forest players got on in the international period. So internationals have now come to a close. Forest players are returning or have returned already to the club, ready for preparations ahead of the FA Cup quarter-final at Brighton. But it was a mixed bag for Forest players in the international break. We'll start with the positive. That was Anthony Elanga. He scored in Sweden's 5-1 win over Northern Ireland, and he's continuing his great form at the moment, Baz, that he's been showing for Forest. It looks like now he's taken that into the international arena and he's got himself on the score sheet.
Yeah, I've read somewhere that he'd had a bit of beef with John Thomason, so it's nice that he's whatever's gone on behind the scenes, they've made up, and he's getting to show what he can do on the international stage. I mean, yeah, arguably Northern Ireland probably aren't the strongest opponents, but I noticed as well he said some very nice things about their players. Obviously, a lot of them he knows from his time at Manchester United as well, so he was very complimentary about them. And I think that just goes to show what a nice guy he is.
Ola Aina registered an assist for Nigeria in their most recent fixture with Zimbabwe. He set up Victor Osimhen to give Nigeria the lead before Zimbabwe equalised. Once upon a time, that might have been a Forest link-up. Aina crossing for Osimhen, and who knows, that might still be the case in the future. We'll wait and see.
That's what they're saying. In fact, Elanga with Gyökeres as well, but he's turned us down, hasn't he?
He has, yeah, but you never know. You never know. He might have had a word in his ear over the international break. Murillo then, he finally made his international debut for Brazil in their World Cup qualifier against Argentina. However, didn't go very well for the defender. He was booked and substituted as Brazil lost 4-1 to their great rivals. And it's a bit of a shame really to see him coming into the international stage in those kind of circumstances, because he's been brilliant for us this season. And, you know, I wouldn't see Murillo conceding 4 goals in a Nottingham Forest shirt, certainly under Nuno.
No, well, I think it was just 2 that happened while he was on the pitch, so...
Well, yeah, it's a good point, but still he got hauled off early enough, which is a shame, isn't it?
From what I've not watched any of the game myself, but from what I read about it, pretty much everyone for Brazil was woeful. So maybe the blame can't be laid fully on his door. Tom said that in the group chat he watched one of the goals back, and Murillo was just left completely exposed for it. So hopefully, I mean, on the positive side, from our point of view, one, he got fewer minutes, so he'll be hopefully a bit more raring to go, and he'll have a bit of fight about him to prove everyone wrong. And also, it's almost like he's lived a charmed life since he's come here. So every now and then, having a bit of a setback probably sets you up to try that little bit harder and carry on.
And now for a player who didn't play in the international break. Not that we've heard much about it, Morgan Gibbs-White. We spoke about this on the Football Terrorist show on the weekend. Now, England had another fixture after we recorded that. They played Latvia on Monday night at Wembley. And yet again, Morgan Gibbs-White didn't feature, despite this time actually being named in the squad for that match. I must admit, when I saw Jordan Henderson coming on with 10 minutes to go in England, having already won the game, you know, I wasn't really sure what Thomas Tuchel was thinking there. That's a perfect opportunity for Morgan Gibbs-White, isn't it, to come on and see what he can do?
Yeah, I can't. Well, yeah. So I can kind of understand Morgan not starting. There was some aspects of how Tuchel seemed to set us up where it kind of made sense. Well, I mean, arguably, actually, I'd have Morgan instead of Phil Foden as well. So, starting there,
he's more in form, isn't he? Yeah,
more in form. But then I think Tuchel sees Morgan as purely a number 10. And what we've seen is he plays at number 8. He can even play at number 6 without losing any of his effectiveness. And he's an all-action... Well, I mean, Forest fans, we all know this. He's an all-action midfielder. He embodies like the energetic game that Tuchel says he wants to play. The only thing I could... Given the way the team sort of was set up, he's either going to like replace someone like Bellingham, which isn't going to happen, or Declan Rice, which also isn't going to happen. So, but as you say, why bring Henderson on at the end when the game was won? It makes no sense to me.
But on a purely selfish level, I'm glad that Morgan had absolutely no chance of picking up an injury in a game, and he comes back fresh and with a point to prove for Forest in the last 6 weeks of the season.
Yep, we saw how he reacted after in the Ipswich game, so let's hope for more of that.
Our next story involves another fixture change for Forest. It's the Crystal Palace game, which is at Selhurst Park. That's now moved to Monday, the 5th of May. And yes, it's Monday night football again, and we're very used to this, aren't we, Baz? Games getting moved around in the Premier League. I think more for the Forest fans, it's a disappointing one in that 8 o'clock PM on a Monday night in London, they've then got to travel back, whereas a Saturday 3 PM or even a Sunday 2 PM in London is much more manageable.
And Crystal Palace isn't exactly the easiest place to get to and from either. It's like completely the wrong end of London, and the travel links aren't brilliant. So I feel for the people who are going. It won't be me.
No, I think staying home and watching that one on the TV probably will be the way to go. But yeah,
does it count as a TV game because it's been moved as well? That's the other thing.
I think it will be picked up by Sky actually, with it now moving to the Monday night. So yes, if you can't get down to Crystal Palace, because it will be a bit of a pain, at least you can console yourself and watch it on the box. Let's now have a look ahead to Forest's next fixture this weekend at Brighton. It's the FA Cup quarter-final. Forest back at this stage of the competition, last here in 2022 when we had that brilliant run as a championship side to the last day, beaten by Liverpool at the City Ground on that occasion. This time, though, I think we've got much more of a chance of progressing to a semi-final. We've beaten Brighton comprehensively quite recently, of course, 7-0, but it is going to be a much tougher game at their place, Baz, and they're going to come into it probably wanting to put one over on Forest, given what we did to them a couple of weeks back.
They've been on a pretty decent run of form since then. Looks like Hurst has learnt some of the lessons from that game. And I don't think they'll be quite... I mean, I can remember after the game just going, they gave that game to us because of the way they set up and the way they played. They haven't got... Lamptey's still out, I think, isn't he? So, he was the one gifting us most of our space. He's not going to set up quite as naively. But then again, it's also at their place, so the onus is going to be on them to come out at us. And as everyone knows, we like that.
Yeah, it suits us. And some of our most notable wins this season have come away from home against some of the more difficult sides in the Premier League. So on that basis, I'm very confident that Forest can go there and get a result. Do you think that we'll see quite as many changes from Nuno as in previous rounds, or do you think he's going to go for a stronger team?
I think, especially given the fact that, as we said, Wood's unlikely to be on the bench, I think he'll probably start pretty strong. I know he wants to give the other players a few minutes here and there, but I think he also doesn't want it to go to extra time. We've had enough of that.
But also, you look at the cup draw this season, it is wide open. There's a really good opportunity here for Forest to, dare I say it, get to the final. So you don't want to waste that opportunity, really, when it comes along, do you?
No, I mean, it's like we're playing on two fronts at the moment, which is can we get in Europe and can we actually win a trophy? And I did a match report with George a few weeks back, and he asked me which one would you want, And out of the two, I have to say probably silverware. It's like the little kid earlier, Leif, saying that's 2 trophies you've won now. And I'm sitting here going, I'm 50 years old. 2 trophies, that's amazing.
Yeah. What a time to come in and support Forest, eh? But yeah, it's true. And silverware gets you into Europe. So, you know, it is still a route into Europe, winning the FA Cup. And it's a trophy that Forest haven't won for a very long time now, and pre-Brian Clough era in 1959. So, yeah, it feels like an opportunity here, and Forest should be able to go to Brighton and feel confident that they can get a result. But I think it will be a really, really good cup tie, whatever happens.
Yeah. And as Nuno says, we shouldn't look ahead to Wembley yet. We've still got one game to come.
Yeah, very true. Still a long way to go, both in the league and in the cup. And on that note, I think we will leave it there. So that brings us to an end to Friday 5 for this week. My thanks to Jamie Martin for providing the news stories. Thank you to Baz for joining me. We will be back with you with our match report after the Brighton game, so do look out for that one over the weekend. And let's hope that Forest can progress to the semi-finals and another Wembley appearance. That would be very nice indeed. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.